Hi, my name is Sal Carceller. I'm a resident of Portsmouth, Rhode Island, and I've been following COVID-19 data in particular very, very closely in Rhode Island. This is the third video I've done in a series over the past couple of months. I try to keep them short, make my points quick and concise. I try to base everything on facts and numbers that come right out of the Department of Health. There's no conjecture. I'm not going to sit here and tell you what my opinions are. I don't have an opinion as to whether I'm not anti-vax, I'm not pro-vaccine, but I am pro-choice, meaning you should have an informed choice, and you should be given the correct data to make that choice. If you want to find my videos, it's really easy. Go onto YouTube and just look up Sal Carceller, Rhode Island COVID, and my videos will turn up. I encourage you to watch the other two videos as well. This was the first one I created 2 months ago, and then a little while after that I created this video. They're both fact-based, and they both contain some very interesting facts about COVID-19 in Rhode Island. So let's get started. So one of the things that I'm most interested in is the breakthrough cases, right? Because people are trying to figure out, should I get vaccinated? Many people have, and that's great. I hope it's the right decision for those folks. Some people have not gotten vaccinated, and I hope they've made the right choice for themselves. But the bottom line is, if you go to the breakthrough data, you can see what the Department of Health tells you, right? So what we see here on this chart is basically they're telling you, look, we hear all the time. First thing they tell you at the top up here is that people with vaccine breakthrough cases are less likely to become severely ill and be admitted to the hospital or die. And so I was curious about that, right? I mean, we keep hearing this, and they keep telling us this, but they never really show us the exact numbers. So they do give us some numbers here. They say, look, since COVID started, there have only been 28,000 breakthrough cases, and there have been 210,000 cases in total. And then hospitalizations, this is how many breakthrough hospitalizations, and this is how many total hospitalizations in Rhode Island, and breakthrough deaths and total deaths. My first video explains why these numbers are cumulative. And you have to go watch my first video so you can understand why doing data trend analysis on cumulative numbers is a very bad idea. That's all I'm going to say. But to tell you why this caught my eye right away is because if you look down here, right, it tells you pretty clear. Now, I copied these comments over to a spreadsheet so we can see them a bit better. But this is what's on the page. So it says vaccination began on December 14th. The earliest date that an individual could have completed the complete series, meaning the earliest date that anyone could have had 2 shots and have been considered fully vaccinated, would be January 18th. Okay, 2021. But the cumulative data is from January 1st of 2020. Why in God's name would you front load with the entire year from 2020? Okay, so let's keep going, and then you're going to see where I'm going with this. So what I did is, since they gave me the numbers here, they told me the total breakthrough cases, hospitalizations, and the breakthrough deaths. So what we could do with this is I can go ahead and graph these numbers as they are here, right? And so here on this sheet, I did exactly that over here. So on this sheet, I went ahead and I took the numbers directly from that page, put them into a spreadsheet, and then calculated the group that's not fully vaccinated. Now remember, this is not a not vaccinated group. It's just a group that's not fully vaccinated. And if you look at the pictures when you do it this way on a cumulative, you say, well, it looks pretty good. You know, look, if I'm fully vaccinated, I'm only going to be in the 14% group of getting COVID, right? Only 14% of all the COVID cases since the beginning of time have ever occurred in fully vaccinated. So that means 86% occurred in the not fully vaccinated. And then for hospitalizations, they say, oh, look, it's even better. So 9% for hospitalizations, that means 91%. And then death, my chances are 5% compared to the non-vaccinated. What I'm about to tell you is this isn't true. This is true when you look at the numbers from the beginning of time, but this is not a good way to look at a trend analysis. So I simply then started digging. And so, by the way, this set of data, this actual spreadsheet, I created these 2 tabs to do my analysis. All these other tabs came right from the Department of Health, all right? But I'm going to cut to the chase, and I'm going to tell you what I did. So what they have in this sheet, at the very end of the sheet, give me a moment. So you have to scroll all the way to the right. At the very, very end, there's monthly breakthrough data. So the only breakthrough data I could find that was on, and it's good enough. So for the month of November, remember, the new Omicron wasn't really even here in November, but that's okay. I'll probably redo these numbers again in December, and they'll probably get worse. But let's just look at November. So in the month of November, they're telling me these are the number of breakthrough cases for November. This is the number of hospitalizations for November, and this is the number of deaths for November. So what did I do? Okay, let's see. So 58, 70, 187, and 29. I basically lifted those numbers and put them right into right here. All right, so these are the fully vaccinated for the month of November. So then the task I had at hand is, okay, how am I going to get the total case counts for November, just November? Well, that was actually quite easy, because in the Trends tab, this is their data from the Department of Health. Right in the Trends tab, cumulative positive tests. They are right here. So this is November 1st, and this is November 30th. All I got to do is subtract this number from this number, and I got my total for hospitalizations. And then when I want my total for, that's my total for cases. I'm sorry, not hospitalizations. That's how I get my total for cases. Then when I want my total for hospitalizations, I can do that very easily right here too. So I just subtract this number from the 1st of November from this number, and now I have my hospitalizations. And then I did the exact same thing for the deaths. Again, this is a data analysis project. I did not make any of this up. I basically took this number, subtracted it from this number, and I got the total deaths. You can pause the video, and you can get your calculator out, and you can do the math just like I did. Okay, so then what I did is I then plotted put those numbers here. All right, so the values in yellow and the values in orange are entered and were obtained directly from data from the Department of Health. Okay, these are calculated. So how's this calculated? It's very simple. This one just says take this number and subtract it from this number, and that's the not fully vaccinated. And then you do the same thing with these others. Hold on a minute. Let me hit escape. And same thing. So now I have my not fully vaccinated. Now it's a piece of cake to calculate the percentages. So now I know if of the positive cases in November, 40% is shown here, were fully vaccinated. All right? That's for all of the cases. For the hospitalizations, 39%. And for the deaths, this is most disturbing. Of all the deaths that occurred in November, 53% were fully vaccinated. Now you might say, well, Sal, there's a lot more fully vaccinated people than there are unvaccinated. That's true. And that would help answer maybe, that would be true. But I continued with the analysis to keep comparing the numbers to themselves. All right? So here's the problem with these pie charts that you can tell is that if you look at the first 40% here, right, you would think that this next group would have to be less, right? Significantly less, just like when they plotted it here. This is what they want you to believe, that these groups get smaller. But the reality is that for the month of November, you can't really get to the hospitalization group without actually having been in this group to begin with. So if your chances were 40% to get in the group, once you have COVID, here's the message I'm telling you. If you have the misfortune of getting COVID and you are fully vaccinated, your chances of hospitalization are no better than the unvaccinated. All right? You're going to wind up, there's a 40% to 60% chance vaccinated versus unvaccinated. It's pretty much exactly the same, but it gets worse. If you get COVID, according to the month of November data, 53% of the deaths occurred in fully vaccinated. One other thing you can do is you can do something called a hospitalization rate. So a hospitalization rate calculation is pretty simple to do. All this is this number, hospitalizations divided by cases, because you have to be in the case group if you're hospitalized. So of all the people that tested positive, you have, and that's a percentage calculation, all right? So you have a 3.19% chance of being hospitalized. If you're not fully vaccinated, it's a little higher. Your chance of being hospitalized are 3.32. But here's the one that's got my attention, is really, really bothersome. Your death rate, if you're fully vaccinated, is 0.49%. However, if you're not fully vaccinated, your death rate is 0.29%. My point is, these are the numbers, right? This is what the data tells me for the month of November. They can spin it any way they want, but the reality is that this is the reality, all right? So what I want to tell you is, here's the disturbing part. On the Department of Health website, there is no reason, compelling reason, why this number should be here. This is to deceive the general public, all right? There is no other compelling reason to put it here. Let me make my case. Let's go look at the data for a minute. So we have 209,000 total cases, all right? If you go back and you look at the data, like I was telling you, and you look at the trends, the first thing is, let's go toward the end here. These are the cumulative, these are the vaccinations, right? Okay, so let me scroll to the top. So this data starts way back in 2020 on 2/27. There are no people who have been fully vaccinated way back then. You have to scroll all the way down through all of this data set before you get to the row where you start getting some people fully vaccinated. And according to this, it's January 1st, even though they say it's the 18th, right? And the reason they say it's the 18th is because you got to wait 2 weeks before you consider fully vaccinated. So even if it's this week or this week, it doesn't matter to me that much. But here's the bottom line. If it really is this week when the vaccinated came on the radar, why in God's name, you already had cumulative cases, or here are cumulative cases, you already had 91,000 cases prior to this. And you have now decided to lump those in, right? And you front-loaded all of it. Now the deaths are even worse. Let me show you what happens with the deaths. I believe this was done intentionally. So by January of 2021, you had nearly 2,000 deaths already, all right? The majority of the deaths, a great amount of them, an disproportional amount occurred in 2020, all right? Look at the final death tally down here is 3,000 by the end of this year, okay? But I'm telling you, you can see from the numbers, 2,000 of these deaths happened before January of 2021. They have chosen intentionally to bring those 2,000 deaths in. Those were all unvaccinated people. They could not have been vaccinated. So this is, it's not a lie. The chart's not a lie. There's not enough data here to let the general public know. We're being had. That's my message. This type of analysis is, whoever built this chart and was allowed to put it should be fired. Okay, that concludes this video. I just don't know what to do with this data anymore. This is why I'm creating the videos and I'm going to put them out. You should share them with your local officials. You should share them with everybody. If somebody can prove me wrong on the analysis, I'd love to hear it. You know, look, I have no idea whether what they're telling us is true or not, right, about the vaccines work or they don't work. Right. What I do know is they're trying to convey that they work in a deceptive manner. When I see that, it just raises an eyebrow. So, you know, when I see that they're trying to do this with the charts and numbers, it just doesn't look right. I'm going to tell you one more thing I did. I'm not going to go into the details on it. I happen to wonder, what is Massachusetts doing? And I went and did the exact same analysis in Massachusetts. All right, and it's very, very similar. 38% of the cases were fully vaccinated. I did this on 1 week only, because I can't get the same exact data in Massachusetts. They post it weekly, we post it monthly, but it doesn't matter. For the week of 12/11 to the 18th, 38% of the cases were fully vaccinated. 35% of the hospitalizations were fully vaccinated, and 46% of the deaths were fully vaccinated. Not as bad as Rhode Island's numbers, but still inflated. Okay. And then one last thing is, watch my prior 2 videos, and you should watch the second video that is the testimony from Dr. Scott, who is the director of the Rhode Island Department of Health, and you will discover very quickly that how they count fully vaccinated individuals is severely flawed. I point that out in that video as well. So what I'm telling you is, these counts of fully vaccinated are undercounted on purpose. And what happens is, when they undercount, they don't put them in probable or unknown. They call them not fully vaccinated, and they go into the unvaccinated pool. All right. One other thing I want to point out, that any anybody who does any data analysis or tries to track something should find this disturbing. Nowhere the CDC, I'm going to point out this sentence in red. The CDC, Rhode Island Department of Public Health, Massachusetts Department of Public Health, I don't care what state you look on, nobody can give you a number on how many people who have received no vaccinations whatsoever, not one, have gotten COVID and hospitalized or deaths. This is disturbing because this is the true control group. If you want to know if vaccines are working, you should be comparing those people that are vaccinated to those people that are not. And nobody's taken the time to do that. And I would love to do that, but I cannot get that data from anywhere. If you watch my second video, I point out what I was told because I submitted a Freedom of Information Act against Rhode Island Department of Health, and it's very interesting the response I got. Written response about this topic. That concludes this video. Thank you for watching.